Well, alright, let's see if this works. I've got these little Ferris sort of magnetic collars around the microphone wire that goes into the GoPro. The idea being is that it's going to stop this horrible interference that we get from the chopper. I'm hoping that it works. I'm pretty skeptical. I don't think it's going to. Of course, there's only one way to find out. That's to go out on the bike, ride it around, come back, and see what the footage sounds like. So, let's do that. I'd say first kick, but I've already been riding it around, so that doesn't really count. Assuming, of course, we can get the bike to start. Oh, fingers crossed. I'm really hoping this works out because, I should probably take it easy on these speed bumps on a hardtail motorcycle. And I'm really hoping this works out. I mean, part of the whole point of building this motorcycle is going around and filming videos with it. I mean, besides just having it for us because we want it, but it's gonna be kind of hard to film videos on it if I can't actually have any audio that doesn't sound like absolute garbage. We'll see. I'm gonna head back to the house now. Got some work to do on the bike, and we'll go ahead and check this audio and see what we're working with. And if this doesn't work, it's back to the drawing board. Alright guys, back in the garage. Super stoked that I was able to get that whole mic thing figured out. To be totally honest with you, I was worried that I was just never going to be able to properly record on any of the choppers that have a magneto. And since I also plan on putting a magneto on the Triumph chopper that we're building, that really did kind of present a problem. But those ferrite collars worked like a champion. I actually forgot who exactly suggested them to me, but somebody did on Instagram. By the way, if you aren't following me on Instagram, go ahead, head over there, shadetree_surgeon. If you want to keep up behind the scenes, give me a follow on Instagram. I post there, or at least try to post there daily. But anyway, now that we've got that figured out, it is a chopper, so it's time to do some chopping. Again, we're entering slightly unknown territory for me here. This is stuff that I ostensibly know how to do, I've just never really done before. Today, what we're gonna do is make some hipster fireworks. We're gonna make that part of the video that everybody loves to put in slow motion and throw a sepia filter on. We're gonna be making sparks. We're busting out the angle grinder. For some reason, the angle grinder is just like now is the symbol of creating a custom motorcycle. To be totally honest with you, I haven't had to use one very much, so I don't know why the angle grinder became the symbol of custom motorcycles, or at least people making fun of people who make custom motorcycles, but it is. Anyway, I'm probably gonna piss a lot of people off with what I'm cutting off of this bike, but it's a chopper, man. It's all about form over function. So we are gonna be making the bike a little bit shittier today, but we're gonna be making it look a whole lot better. Let's jump into it. So some of the biggest detractors of choppers, and some of the biggest, if you want to call them haters, that I run into on this whole build are due to cannot separate the fact that sometimes you want a motorcycle to be more form than function. And since the chopper basically is all about form, sometimes you have to make the motorcycle slightly crappier to get the look that you're trying to achieve. And for the people that can't accept this, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't think you ever will be able to accept it. The funniest part of it for me is that I'm absolutely okay with motorcycles that put function above form. My Ducati is probably one of the best examples I can give of a motorcycle that a lot of people find it butt ugly, but it's all about function. But we're not building a multi-strada here. We're building a chopper out of a bike that was designed in the 70s and was never really that special to begin with. So yes, we're making the bike slightly weaker. We're making it perform slightly better as a motorcycle. But sometimes aesthetic wins out, and what we're gonna do today is we're going to remove these really, really ugly and clunky looking frame braces that are up here by the neck. They're just a little bit over engineered. Essentially their main purpose to begin with was to provide a mounting point for the original gas tank. And since we're no longer using the original gas tank, these really don't serve a lot of purpose. Now, I've talked to a whole lot of people online, and basically there's two camps. Some people who say you're gonna absolutely ruin your motorcycle and the frame is gonna crack if you cut these things off, and the guys who say, you know what, you can cut these things off and the frame will be absolutely fine. So who do I believe? The guys who say, yeah, your frame will be fine, you can cut them off, or the guys who say, no way, if you cut those things off, your motorcycle is gonna break the second you drive it over the first pothole? Well, of course, I wanna believe the guys who say the motorcycle is gonna be fine because that's what I wanna do. But the difference between the two camps of people who say, yes, your motorcycle will break, or no, it will be fine, are basically this. The guys who say your motorcycle will break, those are the guys who tend to keep their bikes stock, the guys who tend to keep their bikes as functional as possible. And guess what? None of those guys have actually cut these braces out. Now the other camp, the guys who say your bike will be fine, these are the guys with real world experience who are trying to make a better looking motorcycle and aren't so much worried about absolute perfect rigidity and making a motorcycle that will slay every turn in town. They're just trying to make a good looking bike. But these are the guys who actually have cut it off and have been riding their bikes around for years with these braces cut out. So I'm gonna go ahead and go for it, and if the frame cracks, well, I'll be honest about it and I'll tell you, and we'll say, hey, that was a pretty bad idea. But until then, here goes nothing. First things first, let's go ahead and remove my duct taped on gas tank. Don't worry, we're fixing this whole scenario soon, but for now, it's gonna be in the way, so it's gotta come off. Really, the only reason I have the gas tank on here temporarily like this is because I'm just trying to dial in everything on the motor and make the bike run properly. So in order for that, I need gas, but I wasn't ready to permanently mount it yet because I have to do stuff like cut all this crap off. This is where the original gas tank fit in. We'll never be using that thing again, so let's go ahead and slap those things off of there so I can get a better idea of where to cut on everything else. Alright, now that I kind of got this out of my way, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all the powder coat that's up here, because I want to see exactly where I'm going to be grinding. I want to see exactly where the weld is because I don't want to dig into the frame. I just want to take the weld off. And to do that, I got one of these guys. So never used one of these before, but seems pretty rough. I'm hoping it'll take this powder coat right off. Well, now I got a little better idea exactly where the weld is, so hopefully I can make short work of this, although I don't think I'm going to be able to fit the grinder in here, in this bottom part. I think I'm going to actually have to, unfortunately, cut this part of this out before I'm able to get the grinder in there. Alright, well, here goes nothing. I'm going to try to be really careful here because I don't want to cut into the frame. Well, that's a big part out of the way. Alright, so I've started working with my flap wheel a little bit because I feel like this is less likely to actually damage the frame. But what I'm seeing here is I think I gotta bust the cutting wheel back out, or maybe even my Dremel with a smaller cutting wheel, and get this whole piece separated from the main piece. So that's what I'm gonna try to do now. Alright, well, the Dremel wasn't cutting it, no pun intended, but now I have this as its own piece, so I think I can use the flap wheel to go ahead and grind down this and hopefully get it off of there. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Got part of it done. Let's work on the bottom half. Probably should have done the hard part first, which I think is going to be the bottom half, but wanted to make sure I could actually do it. Well, that's one side out. So obviously I'm going to go back with the flapper and clean that up, but go ahead and look at that side as compared to the other side, and you'll see why I want all this stuff gone. It's just really not a good look. It doesn't look clean. It doesn't look simple. It's got to go. So now I got to go back through and all this mess that's left right there, go ahead and try and see if I can clean that up with the flapper wheel and make it look as good as I've got it looking up there.
Well, for better or for worse, that's one side done. Let's go ahead and ruin the other side while we're at it.
All right, hopefully I learned from all my foolish mistakes on the last side, and this side goes a little smoother. And by the way, highly recommend Bang, Monster, whatever your preferred energy drink is of choice, because this is crackhead work. Well, that's how you ruin a perfectly good motorcycle, or make a motorcycle look better, depending on which camp you're in. Personally, I think I made the thing look 1,000 times better. Hopefully, I didn't ruin it. Only time will tell. I'll tell you guys this though. I will be completely honest with what happens if I ride this thing down the road and the neck cracks off. I'm not gonna try to hide the fact that I did this and I fucked up this motorcycle. I'm gonna completely own it, and then you can make your decision on whether you want to do something like this based on my mistakes. I'm sure there's probably about 1,000 different things I could have done to make grinding all that stuff off easier, but again, this is my first time attempting stuff like that, so if you have comments, tips, or tricks on ways to make that easier, or possibly different tools I should have used, please leave it in the comments. Like I've said a million times before, I may not respond to every comment, but I read every single comment that gets left on every single video I make. And if you've got an idea on how to do stuff better than I do, it's not gonna hurt my feelings if you tell me in the comments section. It's only gonna make me better at what I'm trying to do. I don't feel like I made a whole lot of mistakes while I was doing this. There's a couple little places where I kind of nicked the frame, and I assume that with practice that eventually I won't do stuff like that. But what I'm really hoping is that when everything comes apart and the frame gets powder coated, that all those little kind of nicks that I put in it, was only a couple, mind you, but hopefully that they'll kind of get filled in and smoothed over by the powder coat. But again, only time will tell when I eventually get the frame powder coated. The next quest for embarrassment on trying stuff for the first time on video is gonna be welding. Everybody and their mother's bitching about how the tank's held on with zip ties and duct tape, and trust me, I don't like it either, but basically there's no mounts for the tank, so I have to create some mounts, and in order to do that, I'm gonna have to drill holes into the top of the frame, and I'm gonna have to weld in bungs in order to bolt the tank permanently to the top of the motorcycle. So needless to say, I'm kind of scared to try welding for the first time, but here goes nothing. We'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, make sure to leave a like on this video, leave me a comment, please subscribe, it helps out a lot. And if you want to support the videos even further, I do have a Patreon. I'll have a link to that down below. Most months, YouTube costs me money, and my patrons are the only reason that I can continue to make videos like this regularly. So huge thank you to each and every one of you guys. Y'all are the ones who keep this thing going. Till next time, y'all, keep it weird.